All right, so over the weekend, ex-NFL player Mark Schlereth had some choice words about Ravens QB Lamar Jackson on his Stinking Truth podcast. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
I do not want to hear from all of you out there that are telling me that Lamar Jackson, well, they don't get him weapons. How many first round wide receivers do you need to draft? Well, they're not drafting the right one. Well, you're not developing them. Well, how do you develop them? Well, your quarterback has a long way to go in developing wide receivers. So I don't want to hear that bullshit from you anymore. And you Baltimore fans, I'm tired of it. They drafted first round talent. They've drafted tight ends in the first round. They've drafted 3 different wide receivers since 2018 in the first round. I mean, Aaron Rodgers went, 16, 17 years with the Green Bay Packers. They never drafted a guy in the first round, whether it was a tight end or a wide receiver for him. So don't tell me about it. I mean, it's one of those things. Don't tell me about the pain. Show me the baby. Produce in the playoffs.
He talk. I mean, it's 2 different points he's making, and he's all over the place. Really, like you talking about weapons, but then you talking about like
bring me the baby.
Yeah, that's 2 different things. And Mark Schlereth, he's always all right. We could talk about but like I said, he rolled the Broncos coattails. Was he a good player? Was he all that? Whatever. But you can't really, I guess. You can draft the first one you want to. They bad. I mean, one of them you traded away in Brown. Another one is you gave him a extension that none of us think he deserves.
First of all, who's the third wide receiver drafted in the first round since 2018? My memory's bad.
Is he just talking? There's nobody, right?
I thought it was Marquise and Bateman, right?
Bateman, yeah, he's talking. I mean, I guess he might be talking about. Yeah, I don't know. About who?
He including Zay.
Zay. Okay, but I mean, Zay panned out. So what is he talking
about? Zay is going into his second year. I mean, I think is this all part of everybody get on these shows and they need clicks or whatever. He's talking out the side of his ass. Like it don't even make sense to what he's really saying. But to a little bit of this point, I mean, Lamar, he's going to produce. He's going to be okay. I'm not worried about the weapons. I'm not worried about what other people were saying. It's like people don't watch football. That's what it's not like. It's not Lamar can't make them catch the ball. Lamar can't make them get open space. Lamar can't call. Before now, Lamar wasn't calling the plays. So it's like what are you really saying and what are you really talking about? It's coming from I don't think it's coming from a football perspective. It's coming from a somewhere else perspective.
Sure. What you think about it, Nick?
I mean, listen. I mean, let's break it down. Marquise Brown. Career highs with the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson in 2021. 91 receptions, career high. 146 targets, career high. 1,008 yards, career high. And yeah, I mean, that was his most prolific year. He goes to a more pass-happy offense with Kyler Murray. Had a decent start, but, again, his impact wasn't as much with Arizona. He wasn't going vertical as much. He was more of a possession receiver, a lot of curl routes, a lot of short stuff, intermediate. And, he just hasn't been the same receiver the last 2 years. So we're talking about Lamar Jackson developing receivers. I mean, Marquise looked his best with Lamar. Rashard Bateman, it doesn't matter if he played with Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, whoever. I mean, he ain't on the field enough to be productive. So you can't blame his inability to remain healthy in the beginning of his career on Lamar Jackson either. And Zay Flowers came in and had immediate impact as a rookie. So that just goes to show you you can succeed as a young pass catcher with Lamar Jackson. You just have to be that thing, right? Again, like if Justin Jefferson came to the Ravens, I don't think anybody would be having any qualms about if we have weapons. I mean, regardless of who's throwing Justin Jefferson the football, Kirk Cousins, whoever, he's going to get it done. I saw who's Josh Dobbs. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a good receiver and you can get open, somebody's going to get you the ball. Our issue, I don't think Lamar should be responsible for developing receivers. I think that's on the coaches that Mark Schlereth was so quick to kind of give credit to and protect. It's not Lamar Jackson's job to go out, perform on the field, and to develop players. That's the job of the coaching staff, the training staff, the scheme, right? Like player development, that is not on Lamar. And if it is, you owe him another $100 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was
his job is to assist. His job is to assist on the field, be a leader, right? Do his part so other people can do their part. And I think he does a good job of that. Is he perfect? No, but we're talking about a 2-time MVP, right? Has he won the big playoff game? No, but we're talking about football, the quintessential team game. If it sounds good until Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes is marching up and down the field too. Right, it sounds good until people are fumbling at the 1-yard line. You get what I mean? This is
what, 7th year, right? 7th or 8th year. Like, let's make it sound like he's at the tail end of his career. He's never he got time. Like, I just don't get it. I just don't. Get it.
This then led to Mark putting out a series of tweets, where he speaks about Joe Flacco not dressing because the offense was different, where he couldn't execute it. Saying that if you're a free agent receiver, do you really want to play in a run the ball offense at all times? Speaks of how wide receivers are divas today, and then says John Harbaugh took a guy that many teams thought should play wide receiver and built an organization around him, in which Nitty responded. Harbaugh took a guy that many teams re-quoted him and said, how has he had the foresight, not John? Number 2, if it wasn't for Lamar saving Harbaugh's job at the midway point of 2018, Harbaugh wouldn't even be here. So I'm not really sure where Mark was going with the Harbaugh point.
He's going with the people. It's Bill Polian Jr. That's what he's doing.
But he's 7 years later.
But in true Bill Polian Jr. fashion, he said he was told that John had the final say and gave Ozzy the thumbs up. I mean, after all, we are Nitty Gritty Sports Talk.
Like this, people just like to talk.
Responded with the facts. An article from BaltimoreRavens.com in 2018 where Neeson and DaCosta hadn't really told anybody else in the room about the possible trade. They figured Lamar would have already been off the board. So talk to us about that, Nick.
It's amazing. Like Harbaugh gets credit for Lamar Jackson's success. We need to give Harbaugh's credit for Ben Mason's success too, and Ben Cleveland's success too. It's crazy. He just has an eye for talent. I mean, he never misses, right? Let's not even talk about Ozzie Newsome, who has drafted at least 15 Hall of Famers, right? Let's not talk about him taking that chance and him saying that this is the stamp I want to leave the organization as I pass the baton to Eric. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about how he also hit on Mark Andrews the next round. We're not going to talk about any of this stuff because, John Harbaugh, boy, that Harbaugh, Harbaugh had the offensive mindset and the football acumen to make sure that he put the correct system next to Lamar. The same system that last offseason we talked about was stifling Lamar, and how John said, hey, we need to change this entire thing, right? That same system that kind of held him back and forced him to be a runner and kind of stifled his growth as a quarterback. And even with that stifling of growth, he was an MVP, a unanimous MVP in 2019. And every year that he's healthy, he leads us to a playoff berth and division title most years. That same Lamar that was being stifled was able to accomplish that amount of success. And then last year, when you gave him a more pass-centric offense, right, because we had to pivot from the genius that Harbaugh put in place and kept in place, failure after failure after failure, what did he do? Win another MVP. But we have to thank John Harbaugh for this. I don't know what we would do. We had the number 1 rushing offense last year. Even with this new pass happy attack, we get to the playoffs. We don't run the ball at all. John Harbaugh, offensive guru.
Man, listen, people already know how I feel about John Harbaugh, so I ain't even gonna comment on that. I'll save that for when the season starts. But like I said, what more do you, other than him going out winning the Super Bowl, which is rightfully so, everybody can have their opinion about that. The man's a 2-time MVP. Should have been a 2-time unanimous MVP. So he's doing everything. He literally doing everything he could do. Literally, like besides, if you want to throw besides Pat Mahomes, you might, if you want to throw, Justin Herbert in there, so be it. If you want to throw Josh Allen in there, so be it. When Lamar's on the field, other than Patrick Mahomes, he's the best player on the field by far.
Listen, it just goes to the fact that, to what Key said, this is a Bill Polian take.
Yeah.
If you believe that Lamar Jackson needed Greg Roman to be successful in the NFL, you're gonna say this the shit that Mark Schlereth just said. It's assuming that he needed a run heavy offense, right? It's putting on him why wide receivers didn't want to play in the offense. Look at the Chargers. Who's beating down the Chargers' door to come play for Greg Roman right now? They know who Justin Herbert is. They see those ropes he's throws 70 yards downfield. It ain't the quarterback. It's the philosophy. So if the philosophy is, hey, we're going to emphasize the run, we're going to do nothing but get offensive linemen, stack our running back room, go cheap at wide receiver, and try to get athletic tight ends. You got the Chargers, you got a Harbaugh, and you have Roman. That was what we had here. That's not on Lamar. Lamar's been said, I wanted to play in a more complex offense. Some believed he wasn't capable. If you really want to be honest, Harbaugh was the one that was saying, hey, you need Greg Roman, and that's all you can be. If we want to be honest, that wasn't foresight. That was the opposite of foresight. That was being surprised that he was going to be that good that quick. Do you really think the Ravens going into 2019 thought Lamar was going to be a unanimous MVP? If they did, I doubt they would have gave him Seth Roberts, Willie Snead to play with. I doubt it.
Hopefully they thought he was going to do what he did last year, but they probably didn't think that either. They probably thought with the new offense coming in, with Monkey coming, is going to be a learning curve. But what we've seen about Lamar is he don't need to. He is the learning curve. Like, you feel me? Like he's different, and everybody, and that's what they need to understand. I don't know what the hell Mark Schlereth talked about. Like,
after two, we shouldn't be having.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Somebody drafted him to play. They should. People wanted to draft him to play wide receiver. Like, it's given you don't watch football. It's given that just because you played with, you won a Super Bowl, 3 Super Bowls, won, what do you want, 3 Super Bowls? It's given because you did that. You think you know everything. It is not. Yeah. It just come off as ignorant. When I read what he said and then double down, it's like people don't like to take accountability. They don't like to say, all right, well, let me take a step back. People don't like to do that. It's when you hit somebody with facts, they just want to keep on going to argue that point. And it's okay to say, you know what, I'm wrong. Take a step back, because he's complete. Just like Bill Polian was completely wrong. He's completely wrong. Like, he's completely 100% wrong. Like, well, you can't do. Throwing in the offseason with your wide receivers is not developing. You can't have your quarterback develop your wide receivers. Like, he's not a wide receiver. He don't know. Tell him to go to run the routes, the route machine or whatever. Like, that's not his job. Like you said, that's not his fucking job. Yeah. So it pisses me off when people come on now. Like, what more do you want him to do besides win the Super Bowl? What more do you want him to do?
That leads to my next point. Mark Schlereth definitely doubled down. Is it Super Bowl or bust for Lamar Jackson?
But yeah, this is Super Bowl or bust for Lamar Jackson. And he definitely improved. He's improved every year as a thrower, and Todd Monken, their offense coordinator, I think they did a great job working together. But in that AFC Championship game, their running backs had 6 carries, Mike. How's your running backs get 6? And I know they had a bunch of injuries and everything else, but how are you giving them 6 carries and just basically saying Lamar beat everybody from the pocket, which Lamar's never, it's just not been the way they've been wired, the way they've been created.
The 2 players with the most pressure on them this season are Dak Prescott and Lamar Jackson. Is that a stretch?
Lamar's got 2 MVPs, so I don't.
Okay, but how is greatness ultimately defined?
How many championships you have?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
It's by what you do in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so, until he proves it in the playoffs, especially because of what he's done in the regular season, who's got more pressure on him?
Yeah, he's got. Well, when it comes to playoff time, there's nobody. When the playoffs start, there's not going to be anybody that has more playoff pressure than Lamar.
Come on, man.
What about Josh Allen?
Come on, man.
What about Joe Burrow?
If any conversation consists of Lamar being compared to Dak Prescott, that's the end of that conversation right there. That's the first thing. The second thing is, why is the question Lamar? Why is it not the question the Ravens need to win the Super Bowl? Why is it not the question John Harbaugh need to win another Super Bowl? Like, why is it Lamar? Like, he's in his 8th year, 2-time MVP. Where, like you said, Mark Schlereth did all that talking just to prove himself wrong. Pretty much, he answered everything that you just said, Nick. They didn't give. They carried the ball 6 times. He literally answered all his questions. Everything he said, everything he said, he basically contradicted himself by saying that. So it don't even make sense. That's what I'm saying. They get in these rooms just because you play football. Don't give you license to talk about the shit. That's about the thing. Just because you play basketball, just play baseball, doesn't give you license to be an analyst. Everybody is not made to be an analyst. Everybody is not made to come here and talk about sports because first of all, most of their opinions are biased. It's based on how the game is played when they played, and the game is different now. This man's a 2-time MVP, and you sit here, and this whoever the host is asking him who has more pressure on him, Lamar or Dak Prescott. What the hell has Dak Prescott done but steal money? Like, come on, stop playing. Like,
has Dak Prescott made an NFC championship? Has he won a playoff game? Like, we're talking about if he has, it's definitely an isolated incident. Dak Prescott's issue is they're usually one and done. And that's Lamar has an entirely different issue. I mean, Lamar's has won playoff games before. He's had first round buys before. So I mean, again, he's
hosted an AFC title game.
He's hosted an AFC title game. I mean, listen, I hate this conversation in football because there's too many players on a team to put it on one, right? Like, I get quarterbacks get all the glory, but I'm never the guy that gives them all the glory. I think defense matters. I think your kicker making field goals matters. I think good punts and good field position matters. I think wide receivers catching the ball matters. I think linemen blocking matters. I think coaching, not deciding to run the ball matters. If you look at Josh Allen, if his running back runs the ball 6 times, does it make the game easier or harder for Josh Allen in the experiences that we've seen, in the games that we've seen? It's a harder task, right?
A lot harder for him.
Patrick Mahomes, I mean, we rarely see Andy Reid run the ball 6 times, but let's say he does. It's a little different. I mean, Patrick Mahomes may be the only guy that is a scheme or game plan proof just because of the greatness that he exudes. But anybody, that doesn't control the clock, doesn't emphasize ball control, doesn't emphasize short down and distance on third down. I mean, clearly, we made the AFC Championship much harder than we needed it to make it. And it was a total panic, but it wasn't Lamar panicking. It was Todd Monken panicking, defense panicking, offensive line panicking, Morgan Moses panicking, right? Like
Zay Flowers panicking.
Zay Flowers fumbling at the dang one panicking. Right, like
people don't realize, man. Lamar did everything he could do.
It's a team loss, and honestly, before Lamar got here, we were choking.
Pretty much for a long time.
We've been choking since we actually last won a Super Bowl. Right, we've had great teams. I think that Gary Kubiak year was a lost opportunity. We get to 2018 was a lost opportunity. We had a good team in that. We went 6-1. We could have made a run. We didn't play our best game against the Chargers at home. 2019, 2020. Like, bro, we have a lot of things that we could talk about as far as total team failures. And the one constant is John Harbaugh. So if we really want to be honest, we got to have some honest conversations and not just put it on a 2-time MVP. Now, we'll hold him accountable. I mean, do I like going outside a lot? Hell no. I was really angry after that game. And I'm not here to put on the Lamar cape. I'm just here to be factual, and Mark is wild.
And if you watch our show or listen to our show over the last season, we give Lamar his praises, but when he plays bad and we think he should play better, we hold him accountable every single time. We not Lamar bashers. We don't sit here and say dumb stuff about him that we know it's not true. But if he don't play well, we hold him accountable.
We Lamar realists.
Yeah,
is he perfect?
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
But I'll take him over most. About 98% of the league.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing about, like, you can think about like quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls to the whoever that show was who said, how do you define great Super Bowls? Think about the quarterbacks that won Super Bowls and think about their teams. Like these were all-time great teams. Like you think about the Tom Brady's and the Patriots. You think about Big Ben and the Steelers. Like you think about teams that won multiple championships. You think about Pat Mahomes, Drew Brees.
Look at Peyton Manning's last Super Bowl.
I just named 4 Hall of Famers. It's everybody don't win championships. Everybody don't go out and be able to, coaching got to be there. Your defense got to be there. Your running game got to be there. If all them things on the line, you're not going to win the Super Bowl. It's just not going to happen.
How many Super Bowls has Tom Brady won early in his career where he wasn't that he wasn't the Tom Brady that we knew and loved. There were many Super Bowls that defense carried, and Bill Belichick and Vinatieri or who came.
St. Louis won, that Carolina won.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Or look at Peyton Manning when he beat Carolina. Peyton Manning didn't play well. Trent Dilfer.
He barely beat the Saints. Like I said, like
it's all Von Miller in that defense.
It's a team game, man. It's a team game. You just gotta think about, like I said, when I think about the Super Bowl champions, I think about how great of a team most of these teams were, and the quarterback just made some plays down the stretch. Like if you don't think Lamar can make plays, then you're not watching football. If you don't think that, and especially somebody like Mark Schlereth, you've won 3 Super Bowls. You know what it takes to win a Super Bowl. You know that. You won Super Bowls on the coattails who probably people consider one of the greatest. John Elway, like, come on, man. And them Denver Broncos teams were all-time great teams. A lot of them players are on the 90s great. Half of that team is on the 90s all-time team. Like, and that Redskins, the same thing with Doug Williams and them. Them Redskins teams, they all-time great teams. That was an all-time great team. So it's like you judging somebody that's only in this, that haven't been in the league 10 years, and is a 2-time MVP. I just don't understand. Nobody mentions that that he's a 2-time MVP and done it with the weapons that he has done it with.
Yeah, man. And to close this out, I mean, the main question is, why now? Why is this a topic of conversation in a summer that honestly has been quiet in the NFL, right? Like, there's not a lot of news. There's not a lot going on. Everybody's gearing up for training camp. Why is this a dialogue 7 years after he was drafted? Months after winning a second MVP, how many NFL quarterbacks have multiple MVPs? That's something that we need to ask.
That's a great point. Because
you know what I mean? It's not a lot. It's not easy to win MVP in the NFL, right?
Honestly, especially when you got the likes of Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert and Pat Mahomes, and you win
the quarterback era. Like,
and you win the MVPs.
Everybody, people are breeding quarterbacks. There's about 15 quarterbacks that you would right now that you would be more than happy having on your franchise, and there's 10 others that you would be like, I could do better, but I could do worse. You know what I mean? It's like, is this clout chasing? Is it engagement farming? We know what it is, but it's like, it's Lamar's such a lightning rod and an easy target. It's just it's kind of ridiculous.
So when you talk about multi MVP winners, you're talking about Steve Young, Kurt Warner, Joe Montana with 2, Johnny Unitas, Brett Favre, Jim Brown, and Tom Brady with 3, A-Rod with 4, Peyton Manning with 5.
So we talking about less than 10 people.
And you're talking about people that if you was to put somebody that just looking at stats, or even not even looking at stats, somebody that watched the game and you name them players you just played, all them players will be picked top 20 players that you just named, every single one of them. And
in that list, it was only
Pat
2
Mahomes
dual
may
threats.
be on that list too. I think Pat Mahomes has 2.
Yeah, we only talking about 2 or 3 dual threats on that list that you just named. So he's in rare air. And then you talk about who's the best dual threat on that list.
Yeah, Pat Mahomes has 2.
If you want to consider Pat Mahomes a dual threat, then okay, he's the best on that list. But if you're just putting him at quarterback,
I'm not. Pat Mahomes ain't no damn throw that quarterback. I mean,
he got the wheels though.
Yeah, he definitely get out the pocket, but I mean,
yeah,
I see.
Run. He not run first though. Well, not run first, but he's not run centric. Lamar's run centric. That's what I consider a dual threat. He's the best on that list. I mean, him and Steve Young, and Steve Young has the championships, but he also had Jerry Rice. You know what I mean? We have Rashad Bateman.
Them 49, like I said, once again, back to the quarterbacks, a great team. Them 49 teams, they could have won 6-7 straight Super Bowls. Like, that's how good they were back then. Like,
respect to Rashad, but we ain't got a Jerry. We ain't got a Jerry. And I like Zay. Zay could be a hell of a player. He showed he was a hell of a player last year, but Jerry Rice is the greatest. He's the standard.
Facts.
Like I said, like I said, as great as Aaron Rodgers is, he only got 1. As great as Drew Brees is, he only got 1. Lamar win 1, he's on their level now. Because like I said, you see what I'm saying? Like, is the conversation going to turn? That's why that's the only thing I hope for is this boy got here perform and these Ravens performing in the Super Bowl, because then it's going to be up.
Well, Mark, you got your engagement. Congrats.
Yeah, there you go, for sure. So as we